Good evening, YouTube. This is Rio855. I'm back with the Bobby Browns and the New Jack Swing era, part 2. Yeah, we got off at part 1. I talked about my prerogative, impact that had with the New Jack Swing era. It opened the floodgates. And I didn't get in depth about the whole experience that Bobby Brown had to offer. So in this video, I'm getting in depth with the Don't Be Cruel album because it had an impact. Bobby take a lot of hits. He really take a lot of hits. A lot of people criticize him. Well, Bobby the type, he loves attention, whether it's good or bad. The Bobby now, I'm not too fond of, but the Bobby back then, he was the man. So I'm just paying homage to the man back then. And what he made possible and the New Jack Swing era. The man responsible for the New Jack Swing era is Teddy Riley. Like I said, I'm going to get in depth with Teddy Riley right now. This is Bobby Brown time, and the New Jack Swing era, he kicked it off with my prerogative. So we're going to move on to the Don't Be Cruel album. Like I said in the early video, Don't Be Cruel album sold 7 million copies in the US alone. It did 12 million worldwide. That was huge. It was the #1 selling album of 1989. He was the top artist. Bobby just had a great year. From the end of 88 and then 89. Oh man, he had a great year. And I was there, so I was a teenager having fun. Bobby was the soundtrack at that time. We're going to get into the Don't Be Cruel album, and I'm going to start off at the beginning, side 1. Yes, side 1 of the Don't Be Cruel album. Yes, the Don't Be Cruel album. Oh man, it was electrifying. It was exciting. It had a lot of great producers, writers on it. But a lot of people don't know that Bobby wrote a lot of the songs. And we're gonna start off with the first song on the album. The first title, it was a prelude. I remember playing this. It had the prelude, the Cruel prelude. Babyface in LA is known for this preludes, and it was always my favorite as they did the reprise and the preludes. This was the prelude, and then you get to Don't Be Cruel. Man, that's one of my favorite songs on the album. Second favorite, produced by LA and Babyface, Daryl Simmons. Yeah, and with Daryl Simmons get a credit for writing with LA and Babyface. Babyface, LA produced it. Yeah, this was a huge hit. It actually did well on the charts. It was a number 8 pop hit and the #1 R&B hit. It was the breakthrough Bobby needed. He broke through in the top 10, and he needed this. Months later, his album, probably not saying it went gold. Probably a few months later, it went gold. I'm gonna give you a little info on the album. It was released June 20th, 1988. The summer. He was hot. I remember me and some cats. We love listening to "Don't Be Cruel," that song, and Bobby was just hot. It was a slow runner. Back, 30 years ago, albums had to build up. You had the radio stations would play the whole album at times to give you a preview. They would play the whole album, give you sneak peeks, sometimes do the interview with the artist. It was exciting back then. It really gave you that anticipation to buy the record or buy the tapes. This is why so many artists sold so many albums. Yeah, it was great. And "Don't Be Cruel" at that time, it was a summer hit, #1 R&B hit. And that wasn't really New Jack Swing. It was basically R&B. It had a little hip hop appeal because Bobby rapped. Bobby brought that new style of rap and R&B together. He blended it, so it took off from there. Yeah. The second song, "My Prerogative," I went in depth on that at the last video. And "My Prerogative," big hit. It was the crossover hit Bobby needed. Went #1 pop, #1 R&B. And he took off from there. Platinum album. And he was on his way to a #1 album. Yeah, Bobby started to get international play. Artists his age and at the time wasn't getting a lot of international play, but he spent 11 non-consecutive weeks at the Billboard R&B and Hip Hop Albums chart at #1. So he was huge, and it was real huge. Beating out Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. He was having a great run, and "My Prerogative" boosted everything off. The third or the fourth song, on the album is "Roni." Fourth song on the album, and actually the third release. "Roni" was huge hit. Ballad. Written by Babyface. Produced by Face and L.A. Reid. Another big hit. Chart position: #3 pop, #2 R&B. He was on a roll. And the album steady climbing the charts, is just dominate. Bobby could do no wrong at this time. So we get into the fifth song, "Rock With You." Face, L.A. Reid again, the writers. Face, L.A. Reid again, the producers. Yes. Rock With You was another huge hit for Bobby, and the fourth release from the album. Yeah, this song, number 7, pop, number 3, R&B. I love the remix. And I'm gonna tell you something. At that time, remixes was the thing. You can really make a lot of money from the remix album. A lot of remix albums was going platinum, and people was getting paid. Artists was getting paid because they could put their product out. And not like today where you really have to do a lot to make a lot of money. They was getting paid back then because the album sales, you had the singles, and then the remix singles or the remix album, you had a lot of stuff on the market. And then the tours was endless. Sometimes you didn't have to tour as much as you do now. You had the market going. You had the radio stations playing your record nonstop. You really had a lot of things going at the time. It was the music business was a powerhouse at this time because hip hop and R&B started to take over in 1989. So we're gonna get into a couple of more songs. My favorite song on the album, Every Little Step. It's the bomb. Story I've been hearing that Ralph sung the first verse, and listening to it over and over again, I believe that's him on the first verse. That's why it sounds so good. Because Ralph has a voice. Bobby is on the second verse. No doubt that's Bobby on the second verse. I can tell the voices apart. This is the genius about production. The producer. I'm gonna do a video on that. The producers. They are the most important person in the music business. Because at that time in '89, the producers was the stars. And kid you not, Milli Vanilli, that's all you need to know. Milli Vanilli. Because they didn't sing a lick on that album. But producers got great singers, and they put together great music, and they sold, I think the album went diamond. Yeah, but they've been doing this for years. It's all called studio magic, studio tricks. You're gonna get into that. That's why the producer is the star. Production can be magical. I don't invoke magic a lot. I'm not into that, but this is what the music business can be sometimes, because the producers really can work a lot of magic on a lot of artists, especially Bobby Brown. He doesn't have a strong voice, but Face, L.A. Reid, Teddy Riley, they work magic on Bobby. So the seventh song is I'll Be Good to You. That was written by Bobby Brown and the late Gene Griffin. Production, Gene Griffin, Bobby Brown, co-producing. Yeah, this was Teddy Riley thing too, because Gene Griffin was, say Teddy Riley manager. I don't know yet, but the production company or whatever, Gene Griffin, he was running everything. And If you ever see Guy's video, you see the bald brother on the video, kind of the older guy. That's Gene Griffin. So you see where it breaks from Face, and then you get into that. That's what made the album so great. Then you gotta take it slow. Totally different sound. Totally different, kind of real slow, jazzy type song. Writers: Jay Logan, Lee Peters, Larry White. Producer: Larry White. Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. Third best song on the album. All Day, All Night. Writers: Dennis Waddington, Dwayne Street, Larry White, Lee Peters. Producers: Larry White. That's a great song too. Kind of a mid-tempo slow jam. Now we get to the last song on the album, I Really Love You Girl. Writers: Bobby Brown, Gordon Jones. Producers: Gene Griffin, Bobby Brown. Yeah. As you see with the production, I Really Love You Girl, My Prerogative, and I'll Be Good to You. These are Teddy Riley jams. Not taking a lot of credit evoking his name, but these are Teddy Riley jams. Riley, Face, and even L.A. Reid, they was geniuses, but Riley and Face on another level. Yeah, great song. Then you get the 11th track on there. That's The Crew Reprise from the Prelude. So with L.A. Reid, oh man, a blockbuster monster album. Yeah, if you see in the Bobby Brown story, in the New Edition story, you would see Gerald Busby talking about telling Ralph, this can be your Purple Rain, your Thriller. He was talking about Heartbreak, but Don't Be Cruel was Bobby's Purple Rain, Bobby's Thriller, because it was on that level. And it was a lot of monster albums came out in 1989. I'm not going to get into it, but Bobby had the best. He had the best. And Cats was making a lot of money. 1989, Prince released the Batman soundtrack, and off that soundtrack, he made $30-some million at that time, and he had money problems in 88, but he turned it all around in 89. So Bobby said they made like $25 million off Don't Be Cruel. It's a lot of cheese for 1989. Some of the same cheese some of these cats making. Some of these cats ain't even making that. So you tell me what's wrong with the music business now. Yeah. And quick note, Bobby also had On Our Own from the Ghostbusters soundtrack. That was actually a number 2 hit. Pop, yeah, number 2 pop. And number 2 dance, number 1 R&B. On Our Own. Funky track. Yeah. Platinum single. So he had, at that time, 3 gold singles and 1 platinum single. Man was selling not just albums, he was selling a lot of records. You see the On Our Own video, you'll see a lot of celebrities in there, and Donald Trump is in there. Yeah, the orange orangutan himself. Um, back in the day, 30 years ago, we used to brag about Trump. Trump was always in our vocabulary, when it dealt with money, or we was talking about the Trump Tower. So he was a big pop culture figure at that time. None like he is now. He's just all a train wreck. So just giving you a quick thought on that. Yeah, the Don't Be Cruel album. So I'm gonna get into Bobby Brown, what he did. I'm gonna reiterate the sales again: 7 million in the States, 12 million worldwide for that Don't Be Cruel album. Man, 3 gold and 1 platinum single. He was selling a lot of records, and he released a remix album called Dance You Know It, and that went platinum. So all in all, Bobby sold up to 20 million records during the stretch of 88, 89, going into 1990. Yes, he was hot. He was hot. So you want to talk about him now, that's okay. But he did it back then. Can't take nothing away from him. Bobby won a lot of awards too at that time. Went into award season in 1990. Hate awards now. You can see the ritualistic stuff and all the stuff that goes on now. But as a teenager, you didn't see that. My eyes wasn't open like that. It was a different time. It was exciting to see some of your so-called idols on the television. It was a big thing. It's not like the internet savvy world now, where you can get access to about anything. But back then, you had to wait. It was always anticipation. Bobby won the American Music Awards. American Music Award usually come on in January. Now it comes on in November, but it came on in January back in those days. And he won the American Music Award for favorite pop artist. Yeah, favorite pop rock male artist. And then he won for favorite soul male artist. Yeah, he was hot. Or I'm sorry, he won for favorite soul R&B album. Yeah. He won Soul Train favorite soul R&B male album. People's Choice male artist of the year. And then he won the Grammy for best male R&B vocal performance. A lot of accolades. Didn't win any later until like 93. So this was his moment. This was his moment. Bobby was hot. And then the tour, the Heartbreak Tour, it was amazing. Didn't get a chance to go there in 89. It seemed like I was going to every concert in 89, but mostly the hip hop shows. I didn't catch the Heartbreak Tour. A lot of girls I was involved with caught the Heartbreak Tour, but I didn't catch it. Bobby was hot at the time. Uh, Getting back to the New Jack Swing era. With Bobby's success, this opened the floodgates to Teddy Riley producing a lot of artists. But his group Guy at the time got known and really broke through in 1989 with their album, and they had a good year. They had a platinum album. I'm going to get more in depth into that, but New Jack Swing was everywhere in 89. You heard it in rap. Heavy D had a New Jack Swing album, and it was one of Heavy D's best albums. People like Redhead Kingpin, which a lot of people don't know, but if you're old school, you know about him. You had groups like Today. Even people like Prince was doing New Jack Swing. Michael Jackson later on in 91 did New Jack Swing. Remember the Time was a New Jack Swing song, so it really broke through. But in 89, it was all over the place. If you look at the movie Do the Right Thing, you'll hear a guy, My Fantasy, New Jack Swing. It was hot. It was hot. So that really is the conclusion of Bobby and the New Jack Swing era. Bobby and the New Jack Swing era really ended around 1990. He would have later hits with Riley, but not an impact like this. And he took that long break. I just think it really slowed his career, but at this time he was hot, he was huge. And the Don't Be Cruel album was huge itself. It was a blockbuster. And it has this moment in history, 30 years. It still stands up because they brought out Bobby's sound and the talent he really had at the time. Face and Teddy Riley brought it out. With this series, I'm going to get a lot in depth and a lot of music. LA and Babyface. I'm going to get into that. But yeah, the Don't Be Cruel thing, Bobby was on top. And I'm glad I witnessed it because a lot of great music came out. He was on top of his game, the dancing, artists like Chris Brown, who's more like Bobby. He's nothing like Mike. He's more like Bobby. Bobby introduced the new style of dancing. The one that you saw MC Hammer doing, and the artists that really followed Bobby was the Chris Browns, Ushers, Genuines. Yeah, Bobby influenced that. And even now, you look at somebody like Justin Timberlake, the culture vulture he still was influenced by people like Bobby Brown. Yeah, so in closing, with Bobby Brown and New Jack Swing era, it was a great moment in time. Hey, look for the music on YouTube. You'll really like it. Just look up Bobby Brown or look up New Jack Swing. Teddy Riley, people like that, you're gonna get a lot of music. Put 1988, 89 down. You're gonna see a lot of great music. Yeah, funky. If you like to dance, this is the music to dance to. New Jack Swing. Bobby Brown. Great for that time. So in closing, this Rio 855. I'll be back with another video and more on the series New Jack Swing. So peace, subscribe, and I'm out. Have a blessed one.